Okay, thank you very much. Before we get into our agenda this evening, we have a couple of folks who want to address the council during our public participation portion. First, we have Daryl Cummings from 4th Street.
I'm Daryl Cummings on 4th Street. This has been my hometown for all my life. I was born and raised here. And I'd like to address a problem. We have a real problem right across from Carroll Catholic with probably one of the worst cases of cockroach infestation that anybody has ever seen. And I would like to know, before I leave here, which side we're on. The people that are renting this and causing this problem, or all of us people that are living down there that now have problems that we never had before. They are so bad that Mr. Eimer can't be here, but he sits out in his driveway at night and kills 20 or 30 a night because they're invading his house. And John, I've been up to John's, and he has writ these people up. What started this, they would open the back door of their house. These people were throwing their garbage out the back door for weeks at a time. It would lay there piled up 4 feet high, and we knew that eventually we were going to have mice, cockroaches, and you name it. And I don't appreciate the fact of what we have to pay to live in this town, and we try to keep our homes, and everybody else does up there where we live, in good shape, and we have to put up with the most infested cockroach dump that I've ever seen in my life. And I want it out of there. Nothing they're doing is fixing the problem. They're in the walls, they're in the ceiling, and all these people are doing is going in there and painting and dragging out carpet full of cockroaches. And they actually, you can see them during the day running up and down the sidewalk. And I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I want something done about it. I know this is a problem around town. Like I say, I was born and raised here. This ain't the town I grew up in. And I would like to see it back to that way. But as long as we have a slumlord problem, it ain't going to get fixed. And I don't feel like for what I pay for taxes, I should have to look out my back window and look at this dump 100 feet from my house, fully infested with cockroaches. It's invading everybody else's house in my neighborhood. So I'd like to know, what are we going to do about it?
John, do you want to talk about the issue?
Well, I've been dealing with it for probably close to a month with this property. First order of business was getting the people that were in there that created what he said, got them out, got most of the material out of the house. It's been treated on numerous occasions by Logan County Pest Control. I agree with what the resident says here, that I believe the home, that the cockroaches are not just where you're going to see them. They're in the floors, they're in the walls, they're in the ceilings. I issued a letter to the owner and to the contract for deed purchaser of this property to the effect that no one is going to live in this structure until such time the entire structure is gutted, all walls, ceilings pulled out of the house, treated, and then basically nothing can go in there until there's no cockroach present, period, end of story. Also, the foundation of the home is very porous in some areas. Literally, I was out there on an evening, saw the cockroaches moving from the inside to the out through cracks in the foundation wall. So when they're treating the cockroaches in the structure, what's happening is they're moving, as this gentleman indicated, they're moving out to try to escape from what's in that house. Unfortunately, that house, when we look at our fast-track demo process of what the state laid out for that type of a process, this house does not qualify for that type of process. It's not abandoned, it's not open, it's not, I will grant it that it is infested and it's being treated, but it is not of a condition that meets the qualifications of that process. If it did, I would be instantly taking it through that process. But unfortunately, it is not. So we have to go with what processes we have. Is what I'm more or less doing, is eliminating anyone living there. And the only way this can be treated, as far as I'm concerned, is to entirely gut that structure and treat it in the cavities where those cockroaches are at. Because I don't think this infestation happened within the last 6 months. I think there was cockroaches in this structure for a good period of time. They just weren't such that they started traveling to the neighborhood. That's where we are with it. I've been on it continually for the last few weeks, and I can't say that it's gone away. It hasn't. There's still cockroaches present. There's not as many present as there was a week or so ago. So from my standpoint, we just got to keep going at it in the best way we can. And the process that I've laid out is basically what the code allows me to do. So,
Is it occupied now or not?
Has the garbage been cleaned up?
yeah, of the garbage, there's no garbage left in the house, outside the house, or anything. There's nothing around there for these insects to feed on. So at this point, it's now to get rid of the areas in which they're located, and that's why, from my standpoint, the only way to do that is to literally either tear this house down or gut it entirely and redo it. And that's what I laid out to the owner of it, who I spoke to on the phone on Friday. He's now living in Tennessee, and that's where I laid it out to him. He said, "What are my options?" And I told him, "These are your options." So that's what I've been doing in regard to it, and I will continue.
Alderman Wilmer, did you have a?
No, it's not occupied then.
No, it is not occupied. It is right. It is orange tagged. It's condemned. It cannot be occupied until I remove those tags from the home.
Alderman Horn.
Isn't this a health hazard for the people around there and for the school that's right across the street?
Well, I agree. I mean, that's why I'm taking the action that I have.
Alderman Anderson.
What was the response or how long does the owner have to respond to your alternatives?
Well, his basically, I laid it out there. I think at this point, he's deciding what he wants to do, and from my standpoint, I'm going to give him a month to figure out what he's going to do. He's going to either have to start gutting it or doing something. I mean, either that or it's just going to sit there and he can't occupy it. I don't know that I can force him to do anything. I mean, other than what I've done, and he's not making any money with the home sitting vacant. So from that standpoint, that's where the problem for them is. They need to get the revenue of renting this property. They can't do that as it sits.
Alderman Anderson, did you have another question?
Well, and because of the health issues involved here, can the health department be brought in? Or?
They will not respond in any fashion whatsoever. It's in the city limits. It's in the city's hands. That's what we were told from the health department. Because I talked to them in regard to this as well.
Alderman Tibbs.
Is there carpeting, appliances, and things?
There's
of that
nothing in the
nature
home.
inside?
That's all been taken out. There's nothing left in the home.
Did you give them a notice to demolish? Why are you giving them 30 days instead of like 10 days?
Well, the bottom line is, I don't have the notice to demolish because I don't think it's going to qualify for that process. And Glenn and I have talked about that, and we don't feel that we have a strong enough case with that type of a process to deal with this one. Because the structure, with the exception
Okay,
of
so
some...
you didn't do that, then why are you giving them 30 days instead of 10?
Well, I don't know what other hand we've got in this. I mean, I've taken people out of it. There's no one living in the structure, so I don't know what more I can do with the code to do it. It basically says it has to be treated. That's what the code says. I've gone beyond that by telling them they have to gut it and everything else. So I don't know what more code that I have that I can use. I don't have it. I don't have it in the city code. I don't have it in the building code. So that's where I'm at.
Alderman Horn and then Alderman O'Donoghue.
Did they get the windows shut so more critters aren't inside it? Besides the
No,
bugs?
that's another thing that we've got to verify, that all the windows are gone. Something I'm going to work on tomorrow is that all the windows are locked, they're not open, the doors are shut, nothing is open in the structure, because like you said, if they're open, it's going to be travel right out of the structure.
I guess this is two questions. This is not of ignorance. I just don't know the answer to it. What would it take? I mean, what would we need to do in order to? Is there a tool we can give you in order to solve a process like this?
We would have to probably put something in the city code, in the health section of the city code, to specifically deal with something like this. I don't think we've ever had anything quite to this severity. I think there are homes in town that are severely infested. We just are not been brought aware of it. But I think the tool that I think we would have to do is put something in the city code, more than likely, that could directly deal with something like this. And I want to do a little research to see what's out there, what some of the other cities have done with this, because I know there's got to be something with some of the larger cities of what they've done with cockroach infestation.
Alderman Anderson?
Well, I would certainly like to see us fast track some sort of a tool that we can give our buildings and safety office to take care of this, because I certainly would be happy having to deal with that.
No, I don't want to live there. And like, John has come out and been very cooperative with us coming up here and trying to help do this. And I know he's got problems with his hands tied. But the other problems we have there is because the kind of clientele these people rent to. I had to come up one time. This is right across from Carroll Catholic School. They were drinking their beer and throwing their beer cans in the alley and out in the street. You see dope stuff out there. I mean, there's all kinds of other things that are going on there. I don't want it in my neighborhood, and I'm not going to have it there one way or another. So if you can't fix it, when I get fed up with it, if they keep renting to the kind of trash they are, I'll deal with it myself. I'm not going to live there living in that kind of filth and not pay what I pay. And these people here and these kids just bought a house down by us and just moved in there, and here they are putting up with this problem. Just come into the neighborhood thinking they were moving 3 blocks off the square. You would think you wouldn't have to worry about this. It's going to get fixed one way or another.
Well, it doesn't sound like there'll be anybody else moving in.
I don't want them in there,
until
because
there
the kind of
is
scum
some
they're
sort of
renting to, I don't want drug dealers in my neighborhood. I don't want to have to shoot my way down the alley to go somewhere. But I will protect my house and my family, and if that ever starts there, I'm guaranteeing you, I'm not going to sit there and put up with it. That's all I got to say. And I'm not knocking John. John has been very cooperative when I come up, and I know this is not an easy thing for him, but the only decent thing to do to fix that neighborhood was tear that dump down and get it out of there. I was born and raised here. This ain't the town I grew up in. Guarantee you. And I know times have changed and things change, but I don't understand why a town this size that we can't keep more control over this kind of problem that we're having. Thank you.
Steve Misner?
Hello. I live at 205 3rd Street.
By the way, Alderman O'Donoghue and I want to thank you for wearing that shirt tonight.
Before I start, we did get robbed by the refs in the West Coast again. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the reason I'm really up here is for Tom Eimer. He's been my neighbor. He's lived there 38 years. I've lived on the corner next to the health department 30 years. And it's bad. I think you guys all realize that. We need to do whatever we got to do. We could, pass ordinance next week or whatever you got to do. But my biggest concern right now is 2 things. I don't live next to it. I don't have cockroaches yet because I live across 3rd Street. But I do walk. I've got 2 granddaughters that's out my house a lot. I actually walk down that street and the cockroaches was jumping on their legs. Now, I don't know, but I think I'd figure something out to do something with that piece of property. And the other thing is Tom, I've known Tom for 30 years. His wife broke her arm today here. And you know why she broke it? I don't know why she fell, but she broke it because she's so fed up about this and just sick. And Tom and Marge aren't, they're senior citizens and their health isn't great, but it's got, I go to work at night and I see Tom out there, 80 years old, and he's stomping on cockroaches. Whatever you got to do. And I think, I'm not even going to talk anymore. You guys know. I mean, there ain't nobody here who wants that in their backyard. I don't want it in my backyard. Luckily, I cross the street, but I hate to see that. I hate to see it for Tom and Marge, and I hate to see it for new people that just bought a house, and I hate it for the people that's lived there forever. But if we got to pass an ordinance here, put it on the agenda and get her done, do whatever, make them tent the property for now. Put a tent over it and start blowing bug spray in it. There's some things we can do, but I think you guys all know. You go by, just drive by, you'll see. And the house is open. It is unoccupied, but it's been open for months. The windows are open. I don't even know what's in there. I don't even want to drive down that street anymore or walk my granddaughters around there. So just urge, once again, get something done if you can. I mean, we'd all appreciate it, and I know Tom and Marge would mostly. That's why I'm up here. So thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate both of you. Okay. Appreciate both comments, obviously. And we'll have Glenn and Sue and John see what they can come up with. And hopefully we can perhaps get an ordinance or an amendment to the ordinance, to our existing ordinances, maybe on the agenda for Monday night. Chief Miller?
Probably about 2 months ago, we had a commercial business that had a heavy-duty extermination company come in, and they did something similar to what this gentleman was talking about, where they sealed that entire building, notified us. It was about a 48-hour period where that building was sealed off, and they fumigated and had situations. I'll talk to that building owner and find out what the particulars are, and that might be something that we can get to the owner of this building that, prevent things coming out from the foundation or whatever. I don't know how in-depth it gets, but I'll do what I can on that. So.
Other comments on this? Okay, they'll investigate that and see what we can come up with, hopefully for next Monday. Okay. Anyone else that would like to address the council this evening? Okay, we'll move on down our agenda for tonight. Number 2, the Oglesby Avenue Bridge. Alderman Anderson or Darren?
I guess a little bit more information. I think the last place I left it for information for the council was that we had another bid opening on Oglesby Avenue Bridge at the same time with Pulaski Street, sort of like an alternate there bid together. We only had one bidder on it, and they had come in higher than our previous low bid, $35,000. Their bid was $41,000. I finally today, after several attempts, got I had asked them that since they had been awarded, this is Stark Excavation, had been awarded the Pulaski Street project, and they would have trucks hauling debris out of Lincoln, that possibly they could reduce their price. And I had asked them to match the previous low bid on our previous bidding of $35,000 for the council's consideration. Long and short of it is they said no. That they came back with a counter offer that they agreed that they could probably fill up some trucks and have some efficiencies by already being mobilized here. But they came back and they said we can do it for $38,250. They further offered that if we could find a local dump site within 4 miles for the debris and take care of the traffic control for them, they could get to 35. But essentially the answer is, right now we have one bid that the council can consider for the removal of the bridge, and that bid is for $38,250 as amended.
Alderman Ashton?
And I'm getting confused because we've taken so many different avenues here, but is that that's just the removal of the bridge? That's no finish work?
That is correct. That is just removal of the bridge. We had $35,000 in the budget for the work, and it was anticipated within that $35,000 that there would be additional capacity for the city crews to do some improvements, to essentially put in some landscaping and some curbs and some bollards at either end of the bridge after removed.
Theoretically, we could do the demolition of the bridge this year and in the next budget do some sort of finish work, but there would be some sort of temporary barrier up there.
Yes, we would have to have some sort of temporary barrier for safety, just so that cars don't drive off into Brainerd's Branch. And it wouldn't be as aesthetically pleasing as the final solution, but yes, that is correct.
We've got to do something. It can't stay the way it is.
Right.
And we've already written off the idea of just putting our temporary barricades up there with the bridge still in place.
Well, the way I understood is we couldn't really leave the bridge there. Is that correct? Can we just
Like
leave
that.
the bridge there?
We could leave the bridge there. I think that it is somewhat of a safety concern for the future. Right now, I don't think it's in any, there's any chance of it collapsing, but I mean, from my position, number one, it's an eyesore. Number two, there are going to be safety concerns down the road in the not too distant future. It's in pretty poor condition overall.
Respectfully, not falling into a hole.
I would clarify that with a little bit of, essentially patching in some of the holes, that I think the bridge would be safe for pedestrian for, a couple of years, likely. It's not something I'm saying that, hey, this is a immediate safety concern, but it will be in the not too distant future. It's going to continue to deteriorate. We're going to see other beams start to fail. But if it's a kick the can down the road for a year or two, that is a thought.
Alderman Eidson.
If we don't just remove the bridge now, in 2 years, it'll be 76,000.
Just gonna say.
What are we, it started out at 20,000, we're up to 38,250.
So that's different than fundamentally different than the project we did put off, hoping for a better rate. This one was sure to go up.
Everything's backfiring in our,
So, at least remind me again, the work that the street department was going to do beyond, the contractor's going to remove the bridge, and then we were going to have internally some other work done, and what did that all entail?
The work that we were anticipating to be done by the street department
Yeah,
was going to include the installation of essentially a curb we have curbs on either side of the street, and it's a curb at the end of the street, and then a berm behind that with some, actually it wasn't a berm, it was just some planting dirt behind that, and we're going to put some bollards in. There's going to be a concrete pad immediately behind it. We're going to put some bollards, and we're going to have some planters of some grass to make it look nice. We'd had 3 concepts developed by Kent Massey to look at options. In addition to the bollards and the curb across the back, we were debating the option of putting in essentially a median at the entrance to the street on both sides with a bollard there, just kind of saying this is a closed street to keep traffic from turning in and realizing it was a dead-end street.
okay.
And there would be a curb around that in that median area.
And the bridge we would not want to do that without the bridge coming out, because the heavy equipment required to get the bridge out
Tear that all
would,
up.
It would be a matter of, yes, we would have an issue with a high likelihood of damage to the improvements we made when the bridge is eventually removed. That being said, it's a few $1,000s, but you could remove the bollards and replace some curb and sidewalk, a concrete pad and some curb, and probably, just recognizing that, you're talking about a couple $1,000s worth of improvements. And just recognize that those will be sacrificial and still manage to get it done.
what about on the other?
It's the same on both sides of the bridge, same treatment.
When you say remove the bollard, you're talking about the one that's at the entrance to the street, warning people that a block down it's about to be blocked off.
There are several bollards on the project. What I'm saying is the bollards could be removed during any removal of the bridge in the future. Depending on the model of bollard you get, we could certainly get something that could be unbolted and taken out. And then that way they wouldn't be damaged and could be replaced after the bridge is removed.
I would be more inclined, we've put up with this for how many years now? At least 2, maybe, I don't know. To say, let's get the bridge out of there. That's the biggest expense. Let's get it done and paid for now, rather than waiting for it to go up, as Alderman Neitzel said, next year or the year after. And if we have to put temporary, anything temporary you put up there can't look worse than what's there now. And then in the next budget, put something in to finish it up or clean it up and
Landscape.
finish it, yeah. You know, even what we already have, but I think getting the bridge out of there is the first priority and get it gone. Do we have a dump site within 4 miles?
I have not been able to identify one. The problem is, it's not plain concrete that you could dump. There will be reinforcement in it that most places will not take. They'll need
Not clean.
it's not clean, right? They'll need a grinder.
How much was that portion, just the takedown and removal?
38?
That's the $38,250. That's what the bid's for, is the removal of the bridge.
And how much have we
there's-
spent on engineering?
Frankly, I don't remember. I want to say it's in the neighborhood of 3 or 4, something like that, $1,000 higher.
Probably.
Yeah, I thought it was.
We had
but
Mr. Maskey in there, yeah.
For some reason, I had 22,000 in my head that we had left over. We budgeted 35,000.
Wait, our estimate for the construction was $22,000 or $23,000 for the removal of the bridge instead of the $38,250.
So we'll be going over by about 9,000. If we budgeted 35 and we spent about 4 on engineering, we spent 38 something.
Yeah.
Well, you could, in theory, like you said, go ahead and do it, kind of borrow from the capital projects fund to get it done, and then kind of pay it back next fiscal year like you're talking about, you know, the cash flow, it's, you know, you're only talking $9,000.
Well, I feel like Alderman Neitzel does. The longer we keep putting this thing off, it just keeps going up and up, so... And to put something in to make it look better now and then have to take it back out so we can tear the bridge out just seems counterproductive to me. I don't...
Well, it seems like we can't group anything together to bring the price of anything down. Everything is going up.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all for showing the citizens do improvement. We're having a hard time.
Would you like to put, it's Stark, is that who would,
That's correct.
would you like to put approval of that on the agenda for Monday evening?
Yes.
Okay. We will do that. Anything else on this? Okay. Number 3, ADA transition plan. Darren, do you want to speak about that?
Sure. I don't know if you have had a chance to review it yet, but attached to the agenda is a copy of a proposed ADA transition plan. ADA transition plans are required for communities that employ more than 50 people. A couple other requirements in there, but Lincoln is one of those communities. They're required by the Americans with Disability Act. And I will say the real purpose in having an ADA transition plan is to protect the city. What it says is that, and this plan in particular says, is that we will address issues with ADA accessibility in our public facilities as funds allow. And it lays forward a plan for how we're going to accomplish that. The plan that's laid forward in this plan essentially says our first step is an inventory of our facilities. That I guess the real, forgive the term, but the real meat and potatoes of the plan may be back on page 8, and it shows our goals, what we're putting into the plan. And what we're saying is that we'll perform this year an inventory of the city sidewalks and access ramps so that we know where they are, what condition they're in, how many we have, those sorts of things, and we've already moved forward with that. Next year, we would take that information and incorporate it into our annual program and look at how we are going to address the known barriers in the sidewalk system over time. A year after that, I put in there that we would have to do a similar inventory of any city-owned buildings and facilities to look at what ADA issues are present. And then the year after that, we would update this plan to incorporate those barriers. Frankly, there's not a lot of detail in the plan, but that's because we don't have a lot of information about what barriers exist. We know there are barriers out there. We're working on inventorying those now. The plan is a good tool for local governments because it gives you the ability to something that Tracy and I have discussed on sidewalk replacements. As the city goes out and tries to repair a piece of sidewalk, we are really required, as it stands right now, if we address any part of a sidewalk along a block, to repair any issues with ADA accessibility on the entire block. Because if we address an existing portion of the sidewalk, we are required to by law to address the entire block of sidewalk, or we may be liable for problems if a issue occurs. With an ADA transition plan, that's something that we can update it, and we can say, hey, here are the known issues. We'll address them as funds allow, that we're only going to take a part of this at a time, and we can address this from time to time and put specific instances in here. And that allows us to say, we're going to take care of this section of sidewalk right now, and we understand there's some major problems down the block, and we'll deal with those as money allows. So, it's a tool. Other than that, it's been required since 1973. We haven't had one. I'm suspecting there haven't been that many problems, but I do recommend that one be in place, and we went ahead and developed one. Happy to entertain any
questions on this? Something that should have been done probably a long time ago. Can we place this on the agenda for Monday evening? Okay, will do. Next we have on the agenda, anything else? I'm assuming there's nothing else on that. We have agenda item number 4, TIF agreements. You have, as part of your packets, a couple of agreements. One is with John Myers, and the other is with Daniel Schuring. John was the individual that we used when we formed the downtown TIF. And if we are going to have conversations with developers or possibly need legal advice to help draft potential development agreements into the future, these agreements would allow us to engage John to provide kind of the general TIF legal counsel, and then Mr. Schuring, as I understand it, provides more detailed finance counsel. Both of these are set up with an hourly rate the hourly rate is specified, but it would be an as-needed basis. We're not locking ourselves into a fixed amount. It's just would be approval of these contracts to get the agreements in place with them. Glenn has reviewed those. Sue has reviewed those.
It's also reimbursable under the TIF, so it doesn't come out of the general fund.
Any questions on that? Could we place those on the agenda for Monday evening? Okay, very good. We will do that. Down to number 5, request to permit, they want some no parking signs for the soccer tournament, and just if you would take note, we have a new request to permit form that the city clerk's office has worked on and provided, and I think this is the first one that has used this form. It requires the petitioner to fill out a box that either they have provided a certificate of insurance liability or they are going to provide one and specify the date when. So we're going to give this a try and see if that maybe helps people understand what we need to have and gets things in place a little quicker. Anything else you want to say about that?
Joy is the one that took care of doing the form after Jeff brought it up last week, and good idea, Jeff.
All right, thank you. Jeff has good ideas every once in a while.
Thank you.
3 now, okay. Oh, Donnie's keeping track. Okay, to this petition, any questions, comments? Alderman Tibbs?
Mayor, can we just straw vote that and approve it since this is
Yeah, we won't,
weekend?
if we approve it Monday, it'll be past the event.
After the fact.
Yeah, Tracy, is there any issue with getting any kind of those signs out there?
This is for the 28th.
No,
No,
this
no,
weekend.
this is next weekend.
It does say the,
This week's 28th.
it does say the
They do
28th.
have one this weekend I'm aware of.
This request is for the world.
I don't know if they have another one the 28th or not.
Well, this would be, it does say the 28th, but I'm sure it's for this
I
weekend.
thought it was this weekend.
The tournament is this weekend.
It is.
I know they've got one this week, they have another one.
Not that I'm aware of, and I think the one this weekend would be
We
far
put
bigger.
some type of signs out there.
Okay.
It says Friday the 20th, Friday the 28th, and that's not
Friday, actually, the
26th, or 27th,
Yeah.
so.
Well, perhaps we can make a call to this individual and just verify, but anybody have a problem with that, us doing that? I think the idea, there's plenty of parking back among the soccer fields, and they just want to get the cars off of Mallory's Drive. Alderman Anderson?
Would you like me to text her? I know.
Oh, sure.
I thought, Chief,
Yeah. I thought she had told me it was this weekend.
They've got one this
Reader's
week.
Day.
Text my daughter.
We're lost.
She's the secretary of the league.
was it Tracy or Chief Greenslate went out and talked to them today? I thought,
called
they called.
Stephen and was clarifying what section of the street that she wanted to close parking, which was from the Walmart. I called the east entrance down to the football entry club. She said basically that when cars park down there on either side, it really narrows the traffic going in and out. That the people from the soccer club will actually be parking on the field off the street. So that's why I contacted her.
So it is this weekend.
That's
Right.
what I was letting understand.
We will, we're verifying it, so we'll just keep talking, and then you can let us know. With regard to this weekend, also, they're expecting 2,000, 2,500 people perhaps for this soccer tournament, so it's going to be a big deal out at our soccer complex. And obviously, the Lincoln Football Club has worked very hard on that. I gave Alderman Tibbs a task. We had funds in our budget where we each year support the Rail Splitter Festival, and with it not happening, I asked Alderman Tibbs if she could perhaps find a way that we could attract some people downtown this weekend of the soccer tournament, because it's also the weekend when the Rail Splitter would typically occur, would have been this weekend. So, Alderman Tibbs, do you want to talk about this brochure that Main Street's developed, or do you want me to talk about it?
Well, you go ahead, you have the microphone right now.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Main Street Lincoln, in conjunction with ExploreLoganCounty.com, put together this brochure that they're going to have printed up and available for visitors this weekend, but then also have additional copies available at the hotels. And what they've developed here is a walking tour of historic downtown Lincoln. And there's 26 sites, and there's a little map in the middle. You start at Latham Park, and if you hit all 26 sites, you're going to walk 1.5 miles. And there's there's some pictures of some of the sites and a little description about all of them. There also is a QR code on here, so you can, if you have a smartphone, you can scan the QR code and it should bop you, once it's up and running, should bop you right to the electronic version of this tour. So our funds that we typically would have sent toward the Rail Splitter Festival have been used to develop this. And this is just a proof copy. If you want to pass it down that side, and you can take a look at it. Alderman Tibbs, what else? What did I miss? Anything you want to add?
Well, our intention was to show off our city, our downtown area, to try to, because in between games, the parents have, time, a place to go, and so we certainly wanted to show off our city, and kind of a last-minute decision here on what to do. This is what we came up with, and I do believe that I'm hopeful to see some foot traffic around our downtown area, our city, which we're proud of, and the brochures are beautiful, and anybody that attends that will get one. The motels, hotels, we're hoping to also, the downtown businesses will have these in their shops for our visitors. So it's not just for the soccer tournament this weekend, this will be ongoing, and so.
Okay, very good. Yeah, if you need to,
Mr. Dillon
if you
did
need
a
something to do,
wonderful job.
it's definitely worth a visit out to check out how they have it all set up and the way they handle traffic and lots of people. It's a neat thing. Chief?
Registration begins this Friday at 4 p.m. And
Okay.
it goes on, this tournament goes on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. Alderman Einzel?
I think Johnny did a wonderful job. I didn't do it. Oh, I didn't do it. I know, but you started all the wheels. So thanks for starting the wheel. Okay.
You're welcome.
Any other comment? Tracy?
They did meet this weekend. The 28th is just regular league play day.
Okay. So perhaps we could get something out there to tell everybody, basically tell people to go on back in there, because there's plenty of parking around the fields. There's lots of parking, so. Okay, anything else on that? All right, next agenda item, there's an announcement in your packet about the Central Illinois Hazardous Waste Collections. The Logan County Joint Solid Waste Agency has wanted to make people aware that there are 3 opportunities, one in Normal, one in Nokomis, and one in Mattoon. So Normal obviously would be closer. 8 to 3 on October 5th in Normal, collecting a whole variety of things that you have listed there in on your announcement. Anything else on that? Okay, another item then in the next item, and also along the lines of an announcement, is don't forget this Sunday is the Firefighter Appreciation Picnic from 1 to 4 over on Pulaski Street. We could certainly, anybody that would like to donate some time to help out, that certainly would be welcome. I can get your name to Mike Fack, and he can get you a...
Yeah, I told him that I'd work it.
All right.
And I asked him if he's got mine.
Yep. Okay, so if...
What do we do, stop by there or just come at 12,
I think
12:30?
just come at 12:30. Over kind of along the arcade there, and I think what they're probably going to have people doing is just making sure that the food, there's enough food out on the tables and it gets transported out, and...
Wiping tables down.
Yep, those types of things, so...
We're gonna have a nice weekend.
General
Cooler.
busing
Not gonna be a
and
firecracker.
waiting.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Okay, that's going to be a great event. Chief, anything you want to say about that, Chief Miller?
Some of the departments that have been calling me, they want to know if they can bring a truck and get their people here, because they might still have to respond to their community, so parking might be a little tight. We're going to have some big trucks up there. Most of the departments that came and helped us out are attending, and we appreciate the business owners and everybody that's putting in the time, and all the emergency responders that were there, from police and paramedics and EMA. Everybody has been invited, and we're getting people from all those different fields. So our dispatchers, everybody that was involved. Tracy's guys coming and helping us out, street department, are very welcome. So we're looking forward to it. So.
It's our opportunity as a community to say thank you.
And anything that raised is going to help the Oasis get it going back up again. So they've been doing some fundraisers to help them out too. So that's another big thing.
Yeah, and there's going to be, in Lincoln Art Institute, there's going to be some prints, copies of prints that'll be for sale. Jim, those ones that Jim Grimaldi took, they've got lots of copies made up, and they're available for purchase, and those will all go directly to the Oasis Fire Fund. So, yeah, if you've got an opportunity, come on down and help out and say thanks. And there's going to be a way, we're going to basically give a token of our appreciation to each of the departments. There's a little plaque, it's got a picture, and thanks them for their efforts that night, and all that's been underwritten by businesses. So it's going to be a neat thing, and everybody's invited. Any questions on that? Okay, Alderman Donahue.
We have one more issue, the issue regarding the sound system and the speaker system for the back. That hasn't gone away. I did meet briefly with Paul about the issue. I also met with some other people, and they suggest that the problem isn't the speakers or the microphones. Well, the speakers we need new speakers, that's for the back. But the problem isn't the microphones, the problem is the box that Comcast owns. And that it doesn't matter that the news, I mentioned the CITV5, their audio is fine if they don't use that box. When it goes through that box, it becomes distorted.
So the box is probably 20, 30 years, not even been, I mean, you've looked in computers, I mean, David, you'll say when you get in the computer and it gets all dusty and full of cake.
That's about right, yeah.
It does affect the performance of the machine, and I don't believe that box has probably been cleaned out in 20 years. I imagine you can plant corn in the dust that's inside there. So we're going to get that box professionally cleaned, and then it was also suggested that that there is a whole microphone attunement system that is not being used in there, that actually can go and look at individual microphones and attune it. And that's never been used. It's actually been turned off all this time. So that is another thing that they suggested, that whoever, a professional comes in and during a meeting and stands back there with the microphone and starts attuning it, and he said it was suggested that we'd get 300 to 400% performance improvement on our audio just by doing that. So that's kind of where we are with that. We're looking at a couple local businesses to come in and do that if Comcast is not willing to do that. So that's where we are. But the problem is that I don't know the legality of who owns that actual box. If we own the actual box, because the whole issue of tape recorder, that can just be yanked out and a hard drive put in. I mean, we don't have to buy a whole new system. All we need to do is fix the system that we have, which hasn't been maintained properly, probably in, like they said, 20 to 30 years. So, I mean, we can yank out I know you don't want to use tapes anymore, and we want to get away from them because of expenses, but we can yank it out, put a hard drive in, and there's also 3 slots on the bottom we can use for the speaker system, stuff like that. So we really don't need to reinvent the wheel. All we need to do is make sure the wheel that we're using is greasy. And on the axle, that's a little more accurate. So that's where we are. I just wanted to tell people that it's not being ignored, it's being looked at.
Alderman Tibbs?
It was also stated one time too that we can keep that box, and so that's a big issue right there, to hang on to that box, because that's very expensive. So yeah, this is ours. It's about 25 years old or 20 or whatever it is. It's certainly acting its age anyway. The sooner the better. I know that our people at home have commented on not being able to hear. Also, the people that are just sitting in the back here can't always hear us, and so it'll be a welcome. Certainly will be a welcome when we can get that taken care of.
And you think the boxes, there's some Comcast equipment there?
The box was initially, from what I understand, the box was initially installed by Comcast. Back when the agreement, whatever
Continental Cablevision.
yeah, it wasn't even Comcast. It would have been whoever preceded Comcast and whoever preceded them. But if it needs to be cleaned, it needs to be cleaned. I mean, seriously, audio equipment, dust on audio equipment can make a huge, huge difference in quality of sound. And it could also, be responsible for some of the back feed that we get and stuff like that. I mean, you don't even know what's in there. And the technology is old, but audio technology, it's probably analog, to be honest with you, instead of digital. But analog audio is still decent audio. Some would even say better audio than digital. So, I mean, we could probably use what we have there without having to invest $15,000 into a new system. Maybe only invest $1,000 to clean everything up and attune it, and then another, $500 to $700 to get some upgraded audio recording equipment. And then a couple speakers facing backwards. We should be fairly golden as far as not having to put a bunch of money into it and have a updated sound system.
Could we record direct to vinyl, kind of vintage?
I probably could arrange that if you really, really wanted to.
It'd be fun if they could enforce it. Anything else to come before the council in open session tonight, Chief?
Just would like to congratulate all the men and women of the Lincoln Police Department. Yesterday we made an arrest, 3 arrests, 3 individuals for 18 pounds of cannabis, marijuana that was being delivered from the Texas area. We had information concerning these people were coming to Lincoln, and it was a 2-week investigation that yesterday resulted in 3 arrests for manufacturer delivery over 5,000 grams of marijuana, all Class X felonies. 3 individuals.
Good work. Chief Miller?
Two real quick things. I'd like to introduce AJ Weekly, who is our new firefighter who just started today. AJ, stand up, say hi to the council. Next week, we'll need to get on the agenda to get AJ sworn in as a probationary firefighter. And today, the start of his career here, he has had a very busy day. So it's been an unusually crazy day. Second of all, also, I want to give some appreciation to our couple of our firefighters on A shift who had a save the other day with CPR. A 49-year-old male who was called in as unresponsive upon arrival, not breathing, and with our guy's evaluation and start of CPR and everything, he's with us today.
Good work on that. And AJ, you don't get much more exciting than coming to a council meeting.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah. For sure. Anything else anyone would like to bring up this evening? If not, Alderman Anderson, we would need a motion pursuant to Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act under 2C1 Personnel.
Second the motion?
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Horn?
Yes.